Welcome to the Manufacturing Matters podcast with the Council of Industry. Join us as we bring you inspiring stories, interviews, and insights from across the Hudson Valley that will revolutionize the way you think about manufacturing. This podcast is proudly sponsored by PKF O'Connor Davies, a leading accounting and advisory firm dedicated to helping businesses thrive in the manufacturing sector. With their industry knowledge and strategic guidance, PKF O'Connor Davies ensures that manufacturers have the financial insights and support they need to achieve success.
Barbara Reer, Assistant Dean for Workforce, Career Development, and Apprentice Initiatives at SUNY Ulster. Welcome to the Council of Industry podcast.
Thank you.
So tell us, SUNY Ulster, Council of Industry has a great relationship with you, but talk a little bit about the workforce initiatives and the programs that you're working on.
So we've been working on quite a few programs in the last 10 years. We started mostly with the workforce side of the house. We had a strong relationship with the local manufacturers and serving them and the training needs that they had locally. We looked at the requirements of the local manufacturers, and we realized that a lot of the manufacturer employees did not have degrees. So we analyzed that, and we thought that maybe we could do something in that arena. So we started looking at an AOS program, which it's an Associate of Occupational Studies. So it prepares graduates for a specific career pathway versus going into a bachelor's degree program. So we wanted to do something for the people that are in our community that maybe have decided that they didn't want to go for a bachelor's degree, but still needed that education to get a livable wage. So the AOS seemed to make the most sense. Of course, for students that are really determined and they do want to go on a bachelor's degree, we would work with them and figure out a pathway for them as well. But right now we're seeing a lot of people that are happy with the AOS because they're older adults. They've decided not to go to college, or sometimes they graduated in other programs that have not really been able to support their lifestyle. So we know that manufacturing pays well. And so they've come back to this degree or a microcredential within the degree. So anyway, so our AOS program and 2 new certificate programs are available starting this semester. It's our first semester that we have them. The AOS program would take 2 years for a student full-time to complete. The 2 certificates inside the program, and the AOS is in Advanced Manufacturing Technician. The 2 certificates inside it are a CNC certificate, an Advanced Manufacturing Technician, and a General Technology certificate for those people that are more interested in maybe an electrical theory or other things outside of CNC. Just definitely just basic manufacturing skills.
It's come a long way. That's a lot. Kind of going back to when we first met was with the TACT grant, which is certainly, all of 10 years ago, where we were just kind of figuring this stuff out. And it is really rewarding, I think, when you look back that far to see how far we've come. And Ulster in particular kind of being the, if you will, the poster child of our community colleges that has really taken this ball and run with it and really implemented some great programs.
Yeah, what we learned from the TAC grant was that we have to be similar to what other SUNY schools are doing in the state so that people can transfer if they need to. So we really did try to align our core work in our AOS with what other community colleges and other 4-year colleges are doing in manufacturing throughout the state, because we know people switch schools and we want to make sure that they would be able to take that work with them.
And you're kind of going back from that point in time, you were new at the college at that point too, correct?
I've actually just celebrated my 20th anniversary.
Have you really? So you were new to this
Yes.
program then when we met. Okay. And what were you doing before the TACT grant? What was your role?
I was programming workforce courses, but not necessarily all manufacturing. We didn't really have a lot of manufacturing courses back then. So that in the last 10 years, that's what I've worked on, is the full development of that. So before that, it would be other courses, like some in healthcare, some in building science, other areas that employers would be hiring people.
Right, and that's the kind of those career pathways and those types of things. But so I know that you are an engineer. Is that correct? I mean, you have that background in training.
Yes, I have a BSEE degree.
And you did some work in manufacturing.
I did. I worked in manufacturing in the 80s. I worked for Ferox Cube, which is a Philips company in Saugerties. And then when I had my first child 35 years ago, I tried to work part-time. And back then, part-time work in manufacturing was not really something that employers really liked to see. So I left my job after trying that with a infant for 3 months. And then I did some consulting work for them. And then I did some consulting work for Ferry down in Wallkill. And then after a while, after my second child, life got busy at home. So I kind of stayed at home.
Mm-hmm. And then when they got a little older, little older, you re-entered the workforce?
Yes. And, I live locally in Kingston, so I could do this work part-time. So that was very attractive to me. So then I did it part-time, and then probably about 10 years ago, I started full-time. And I love every minute of it.
Yeah, I will say you've been so impactful, and I will also, as a kind of a not to be too fluffy, but you are the person who says, yes, let's try and figure this out. Let's try to make it work, which I think is, the reason deep down why the program is successful. But I guess I also want to kind of talk a little bit about like that philosophy and how it relates to your working with some of our members in some of the companies. I just have seen where you are just kind of willing to kind of reach out and meet them where they are, where in a lot of places and a lot of organizations, I won't pick on other colleges because it's not necessarily true, but just don't do that. They kind of wait for people to come as opposed to going out and saying, this is what we're offering. How can I help you? What can we do?
Yeah, I think having worked in manufacturing, I understand what the roadblocks are, especially these days when we're trying to make more in the United States. The workforce is challenging at this time to get dependable people into these jobs. Just trying to sell manufacturing, especially in Ulster County, when IBM pulled out so many years ago from Ulster County. They were the major manufacturing employer here. And I think a lot of people don't see manufacturing, even though your organization has done a wonderful job of, trying to showcase manufacturing, the good jobs, the apprenticeships, all the good things about manufacturing. But it's been a long haul for educators to try and get, especially the 18-year-old, to embrace entering a manufacturing career. So I would say recently, we had to have a heart-to-heart, and we really looked at what other populations we could look for the workforce for manufacturers. And one of the things we identified through the Haas Foundation actually was that there could be pathways for the neurodiverse student to enter into a very good career in CNC machining and leaving their, bag groceries at a grocery store job behind and use
if
their
they can
talent.
get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've worked very closely with ARC, with our sister colleges and some of the other agencies locally, and we've really come up with a very strong program for those that are on the spectrum. And we've seen some great success. We have interns in the field right now. Absolutely never thought they would find themselves in manufacturing and totally enjoying their jobs right now. So I'm excited about that.
And I think, it is kind of a testament to the perseverance here that we really do need to find these jobs. Sorry to keep hearkening back to 10 years ago in that TACT grant, but I think we did identify the fact that this was the problem then. It's only gotten worse and worse and worse. But I do think, programs like that, and even some of your more core courses and programs, but those kind of peripheral ones are also starting to have a real impact as we just look at the demographics and who's available to work.
So when we developed this new program, we had to do some out of the box thinking as to what would make it attractive and what would make it work for the populations of people that were not traditional college student. So we took away most of the prerequisites because we can find that that's a barrier to the education. We also built the gen eds inside the courses. So we do know that there are people that cannot pass English 1 for many reasons. The neurodiverse population is one of the populations that struggles with it. So for that to be a requirement of the program, we decided not to make that a requirement. We also wanted people to kind of pick and choose the courses that met the needs of their employer. So there's a lot of program electives in our new program, like a lot of them, like probably 8 of them. So people can kind of say, okay, I want to specialize more in CNC, or I want to specialize more in electrical theory or mechanical theory, or a combination of electrical and mechanical, so that they can kind of tailor the program to their needs. We also wanted to make sure that we didn't leave out people that were already doing internships and apprenticeships. So we have an applied learning piece in the program planning sheet, and students that are in apprenticeship can take those apprenticeship hours right into the program and get credits for those, or students that are doing internships can do the same. So we try to leave it really flexible for the people that we serve here locally in the Hudson Valley.
Is terrific. And talk a little bit more about those kind of that flexibility within the program, about the general education. I think, sometimes all colleges have a reputation of being fairly rigid in their standards and expectations. How have you been able to, I guess, become a little more flexible, less rigid, and allow and get buy-in from people within the college community to accept those changes?
Yeah, so like all SUNY schools, we have to follow the guidelines from SUNY. So SUNY for the AOS programs do allow for the gen ed requirements to be built inside the programs. So first year experience has to be outside that, of course. And we did decide that it was important for the students to do college algebra and trigonometry. So we did leave that outside, but all the English, mostly English, right? Writing skills, speaking skills, all will be within the program itself. And if you think about it, I mean, that's how we naturally learn, right? So you're taking a metrology course and you're doing math in there, you're working in groups, you're working in teams, you're doing reports of your findings. It's so much more natural for you to do that as part of
you sort of add it to the rubric of how you're measuring them in there, instead of having a whole separate course for it.
Right.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And then that is the kind of thing that we need to do to encourage people who have an interest and perhaps maybe a little bit of a talent to get the right skills that they need.
Right. We do see a lot of people come to our doorstep that say, like, I never thought college was for me, but I understand you have this program that's a little bit different. So can I see what that looks like? And as soon as we say, you don't have to take, any of the gen eds, they're like, oh my gosh, like that was a roadblock for me. Like I didn't want to spend my whole life in college taking courses that don't really mean anything to me. So that was, they're going to learn it. They're just going to learn it a different way. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to start thinking about how today's people want to learn.
So Ulster County has a wide range of manufacturing businesses. There's, your old business in Ferox Cube and Ferrite and the electromagnetic suppression world. But there's a fair amount of lighting companies. There's a fair amount of machining companies. There's some defense contractors doing electronic work. How do you congeal the program to meet all of their needs, or at least most of all of their needs?
Well, so it's a 2-year program. So there are some very simple answers to that. We know that, most companies, the employee needs to know a little bit about electrical theory. So we know that that's a course that they should take. There are also some industry certifications that we built in, like the Certified Production Technician, which is a general overview of manufacturing. So we felt that was important. We also know that things like AutoCAD, are important. GD&T can be important to almost every company. So we tried to look at the skill sets that were important to most of the companies. And then everything else we left as an elective so that students can pick and choose from what's being offered that semester and plug that into their planning sheet. We did leave 12 credits out of the 61 credits are applied learning credits. So the student can do either a capstone project, an internship, or an apprenticeship. So I think that really helps students really enjoy their experience.
I would think that also helps the companies as well, because it is a little bit of a OJT or, customized to their particular industries and how they do things. And that makes it more, appealing for them to work with those students.
So we have students from many different employers taking related instruction with us. We are offering MasterCam right now. We offer CNC training. Sometimes they take the electrical theory programs with us. GD&T is a big course for them to take. AutoCAD. So a lot of the basic courses they do take, and we are approved by DOL to offer all those to the apprentices.
So explain to our novice listeners what related instruction is in the apprentice, and just a kind of a quick overview of what apprenticeship actually is as the New York State defines it.
Sure. So an apprentice is somebody that's working for an employer that is going to be enhancing their skills in a certain trade. So CNC machinist would be one of those trades. So they work with somebody at the company to get some learning on the job. And then they come to the college to reinforce that with some educational experience. And they have to take 3 credits a semester. And, they can pick and choose from what we're offering. And so they're not only working and earning money at the company that they're working with, but then they're also getting an education, sometimes a certificate program they can complete in the years that they are related instruction. And New York State, through SUNY, has funding to fund that student. So the education is completely free for that student while they're an apprentice.
Yeah, it's a terrific program. As it's part of our partnership is, we're a sponsor of an apprentice program for our members, and so many of them are getting the related instruction at Ulster, even if they're not in Ulster County, because the programs are available and the courses are relevant. So it is encouraging to have that opportunity. And how that's really changed. This is something that's fairly new in the last 3 or 4 years, where you're seeing more apprentices and doing related instruction. Is that fair to say?
Yes, we are definitely seeing more apprentices. I'm not sure how long the apprenticeship program's been going on. I want to say 5, but it could probably be longer than 5 years that we've been working on that.
Yeah, just finished our 5th year, rolling into the 6th.
So I would say year 5, we had maybe 2 or 3 apprentices come through our doorsteps to take related instruction. But now we probably have a good 20 apprentices, though I know that you have probably closer to 30 that are registered. We are seeing.
Right. Yeah, obviously more across the region, and it's not practical to get to Ulster for some of them, but
we are seeing more and more people take courses. Sometimes they're a little bit afraid. Some of the times the apprentices are a little bit older and they're like, I am not college materials. So we really have to work with them to make sure that they have supports here as well.
Yeah, it's so true. And we've heard apprentices say, like, literally, the reason I'm working here is because I don't want to take college classes.
Right.
And that's why I took this job. But then that same person, like, once they, as maybe a more mature individual, they can walk onto your campus and they recognize that it's a different world than they walked onto, 8, 10, 15 years ago, that it is everything we've been talking about. It is, more welcoming. It is more accommodative. It is more focused on what they need in their particular outcome, as opposed to what your expectation and a degree might be.
Yeah, for some of our classes, we've started putting embedded tutors right inside the classroom so that there's not only the instructor to approach, but there's also a tutor in the classroom that can help and maybe take some of the pressure off the instructor for students that don't feel comfortable reaching out to the instructor directly. So somebody that has been through the course already, or somebody from my office may step in and really help in the classroom so that the learning experience is enjoyable for all the students in the class.
Yeah, you definitely hear stories of people who have walk on campus and it's like a flashback to their middle school anxiety about math tests and not having their homework done, and hopefully and I know you guys are working really hard to make them forget about those old anxieties and recognize the new place that wants them to be successful.
Yes, we have to learn to work with adult students.
Yeah, that's true. So I mentioned some of the companies that you've worked with. Can you maybe share some programs? I know you did some great work with ferrite products. You've done some work with Elna Magnetics. I think you've done some work with Salux as well. Talk about some of the the customized, if you will, and the one-on-one company experiences with your program as well as the college as a whole.
Yeah, so the most recent one we did was over the summer with JBT Wolf Tech, and they had probably, I don't know, at least maybe 60 people that needed training in Excel at different levels. So we did do a very intensive Excel training for them. That was probably the biggest one we've done in a while. We are looking at doing contract training for other companies as well. We've been doing a lot with ferrite recently, like you said. Salux, they do send their employees, and they're very good about giving their employees some time off to come take classes that are during the day. So that's been very nice of them to do that. Amatec Rotron sends people here for classes. And again, all these companies are just in such need of, if they can't find people that are already skilled, upskilling the people that they have. So that's really important for them to be able to upskill their people.
Have a partner like you that can figure it out for them too. I mean, it's one thing to say, we need Excel training for 60 people. It's another thing to deliver Excel training for 60 people.
It was challenging, to figure all that out with everybody's schedules.
The 4 levels, the complexity there seems, even how do you even know where people, did you screen people to see which level they go into, or
No,
did
we
they
let
just
them
know where
select, and then sometimes,
Okay.
They had to cut back a little bit on their desires, so it's okay. SUNY has received so much money in manufacturing training, and they've been able to offer that to the community colleges. So we do hold work-based learning grants for some of the local companies. JBT being one, FAL is a second, Salux is the third, ferrite is a fourth. I think we have maybe 8 or 10 of those grants for local companies. So whatever that company needs training in, until the end of June this year, they're able to just tell us what training they need. We register their employees for that training, and then they can get that training. And I know ferrite has probably been right on top of that the most of any company. They get it. They are trying to use up every single dollar that they have, and it's great to see them getting the training that maybe they couldn't have gotten if they didn't have the grant award.
Right, it is good to see. So about a year or so ago, we were trying to recruit some apprentices at Elna Magnetics, and they knew they wanted to do the program, but they had some trouble convincing a couple of the employees to do it and over the related instruction. And we love to tell the story of how you solved this problem for us, of how you just kind of met them met these like 3 or 4 employees exactly where they were and said, oh, we can figure that out.
Yeah, so we just went to their site and offered the training right at their site. People are tired after work, they have responsibilities. So they were able to give their employees a little bit of time off while we did the training. So that worked out really well for us. They also have, we don't see a lot of female CNC operators, and they have she has come to, I would say, maybe 2 or 3 years now of CNC training. So I'm sure she's pretty good right now. but she's always a delight to have in the classroom. And she's been featured on a lot of our publications, her standing in front of the CNC machine. So, because we'd like to see more women enter the field.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's part of that all the above. You mentioned it earlier with the neurodiverse population, but really all different walks of life could find careers in manufacturing if maybe they got the right exposure and recognize the right opportunity. So what's next? I mean, you guys are doing so much, and I know there's more in the hopper. Where are you steering this, and where are you seeing the opportunities or the need? I guess is probably a better way to put it.
Yeah, so there's two things we're working on. One thing is more microcredentials. So microcredential is a credential that we can approve here locally. It becomes a badge when the student gets it. And so we probably have 6 of those in manufacturing. So you could have a degree in something else, but you want to show that you have a skill set in something in manufacturing. So we have like CNC microcredentials, we have a pre-apprenticeship microcredential, we have, those types of ones. But the new thing here at SUNY Ulster, and for those of you that have been reading the governor's press releases, so we do have a cut and sew program that will start next week. And cut and sew does sit under our manufacturing program. There are probably at least a half dozen manufacturers in cut and sew here in Ulster County, like right in the Kingston area. There's more as you go to like Orange, but we're really seeing that grow. But the governor did release $9 million to a company that's actually in Hudson called Madex Hudson. They were part of it with RPI, FIT, and we can just see that that is going to be a growing sector of manufacturing here locally as we're starting to look at what else we can make here in the United States that maybe we haven't made in a while. And clothing, of course, and doing it sustainably. So it's going to be from the farm basically to the actual clothing item, and make sure that that whole process is sustainable. So I think that's something for us to really keep an eye on. But we do have the cut and sew program here. We are finishing installing the machines today, and then everything else should be ready to go. We have a full class starting next week, and we're excited about that opportunity, especially as we look for immigrants that are looking to do something, especially female, right? They're looking to do something at home while their kids are home, and they can definitely do cut and sew. There's such a need for it in this area that they can actually make a living at that and tend to their children at the same time, which I think is really important. So it'll be exciting to see where that whole thing goes.
Interesting is what's old is new again. I mean, the Hudson Valley has such a rich history of garment manufacturing and dyeing. And I actually have a picture on my desk of the old Sweetor factory in Newburgh that made pants there for decades. So
yeah, we have shirt factory here. We have so many factories here that, and it's interesting to look at the old pictures as well. A lot of men were in this field, So it's interesting that it's coming back. And I think that we all realize that, made in the USA is the way to go. So, what can we do with it? What makes sense for us to do here in New York State?
Is there an apprentice associated with that, or is that just initially just a training program?
Well, FIT has been working on one with DOL, and it had stalled for a bit, and I just need to see where that is. But there definitely was one. We did look at using the IMT maybe as.
That makes sense.
And that one could work for some companies, not for all companies, but it could work for some companies. So we do have the micro-credential in that's stackable into the AOS. So we're excited about that.
So talk about some of the challenges. Is it instructors? Is it curriculum? What are the challenges that are the obstacles?
I think the challenges are that you have to look at everything as a whole. You have to talk to a lot of employers and you're not going to make any employer 100% happy, but you have to find that middle ground that makes people somewhat happy. Right. And I think that's the key, right? Because it is a 2-year program. They can do an apprenticeship during this or after it to further their skills. So what can we do to get them interested in manufacturing, get them started in a job, and then from there they can continue on with something else? Instructors can be a problem, especially as you get to the higher level coursework. Community colleges don't necessarily pay that well. So trying to find people that will work for it. But, we've had a lot of adjuncts that are really just, they want to share their knowledge with other people because they know that they have to do that if we're going to continue manufacturing in this country. So we've been very fortunate to connect with a lot of good adjuncts that are willing to work part-time and, teach a course or two for us. That's been challenging. It's been challenging just to find the 18-year-old that wants to enter into a manufacturing program. We have lots and lots of older folks, maybe even just in their 20s that want to come into the program, but finding people that are younger has been a problem. And I think we have some solutions for that. So we're going to start looking at some of those options. And, I have to say, SUNY has been broadcasting manufacturing throughout the whole state, with all kinds of ads. So they've been very, very helpful in getting the word out for all of the colleges that are working in manufacturing.
Yeah, that is definitely helpful. Definitely more needs to be done. So I guess my final thought for you is what's next? I mean, I know we talk about, you've built an AOS program, you've got this cut and sew. What is going to be the next big thing beyond that?
That's a good question. I think we want to make sure that the program is serving the needs. So it's, now we circle back out to the employer. We have been slowly building our own lab here on our Stone Ridge campus. So we have a Haas mini mill on site now. We are getting a Haas lathe this semester. We were very fortunate for Darlene Pfeiffer to support our Pfeiffer Innovation and Technology Center. So we do try to add new equipment every year, and that has come a long way since, when we first unveiled that center. But we have to be really careful because we are a community college and there are a lot of costs to owning equipment. So we just want to be really mindful that the equipment that we get doesn't become a burden to the college, but it also enhances the learning of the student, because I think a lot of people do go into manufacturing because they're hands-on learners. So we want to make sure that we continue to embrace that. We always need to keep building our partnership base. So that is a lot of work, just building partners in the community so that we can get people certified and get them into jobs locally, right? So, it's a never-ending task to keep the community college moving forward. I would like to really try to develop a program in metrology where we're actually doing some quality control inspection work with the students. That's actually my background after I became a little bit more mature manufacturing employee. I ran the quality control department. And I think, it's good for us to include that as well.
Yeah, you guys are doing great work. You did, great feedback from, great relationship with companies and, build that feedback loop. And it's great. And, we are certainly proud to work with you and look forward to continuing that. So Barbara Reer, Assistant Director for Workforce, Career Development and Apprentice Initiatives at SUNY Ulster. Thank you for being a part of our podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Manufacturing Matters, brought to you by the Council of Industry and sponsored by PKF O'Connor Davies, accountants and advisors who understand the unique challenges and opportunities in the manufacturing sector. We hope you gained valuable insights and inspiration from today's discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.